Well, the end of another year is upon us, and what a year it has been. For a few sweet weeks back in March and April, the roads in Austin were as empty as your life without a Busa. Then Zach and Ari unleashed a swarm of empowered Gixxer boys upon the world when they made a track-prepped K5, beat a Ducati V4 with it, and then as if to make Gixxer boys even more insufferable, Joan Mir went and won the MotoGP for Suzuki. Mark my words, 2021 will be the year of the Gixxer apocalypse, and we're still not getting a dang Gen 3 Hayabusa with a turbo from the factory. Speaking of turbos, in case y'all forgot, I'm going to turbo my Hayabusa at 1 million subscribers. The ball's in your court, so tell your friends. But anyway, as this year came and went, we got a ton of news that really reshaped the motorcycling landscape. And because we're so nice, and none of you guys go and watch the Yamcast, which you totally should, it's a lot of fun, I'm gonna give you the top 7 most important motorcycles for 2021. They might not all be new bikes, some of them are updates, some of them are refreshes, and some of them are going away, but these bikes are the ones that are gonna have the biggest impact on motorcycling going forward. And mark my words, if Suzuki makes that factory Turbo Busa, I will run out and add it to the Expert Bike Giveaway series. Just kidding, obviously it's a beginner bike. Or is it? We'll never know because Suzuki just doesn't care about being the greatest of all time. Starting out this list at number 7 is the 100th anniversary Gixxer 1000R featuring the MotoGP X-Star livery. This bike is the King Gixxer, and the old proverb of win on Sunday, sell on Monday is 100% accurate. If you want to fulfill your dreams of racing around the track like Mir, well then go back to sleep because you're never going to be that fast, but you can pretend to be and tell all your friends exactly how superior the Gixxer is and how it's an underrated gem and it's just like the GP bike, which it's not. But anyway, the 100th anniversary edition comes in at a pretty solid $17,999 and packs everything you'd want in your GP cosplay bike. It's got variable valve time and help increase low and mid-range punch, a 6-axis IMU, adjustable traction control, rider modes, up and down quick shifters, launch control, and fancy lean sensitive ABS. It's also got some fully adjustable Showa forks up front and a rear shock and a big old Brembos, which is a nice touch over something like the Nissan Calibers on the R1. The biggest letdown is that the dash is an LCD display, which Suzuki claims is similar to the GP bike, but let's be honest, it's just a way to save some money. We don't have power specs on the bike, but considering it's a mostly cosmetic update, we could assume it'll be putting down the same 199 horsepower and 87 foot-pounds of torque. If you want one of these bad boys, you'd best get yourself down to a dealer and put a deposit down because reservations are filling up. As an anecdote, most people who ride the Gixxer 1000 say that it puts down a nasty amount of power. Is that Gixxer bias? Who can say? Number 6 on this list is the R6. Come on, Yam, what are you talking about? The R6 is getting discontinued. Long live the king of 600s, the 636. Well, hold your horses there, Kyle. The R6 is only being discontinued in street trim and instead being moved to a track-only configuration, which Yamaha claims will be race-ready. This is actually a really big deal for a number of reasons, not least of which this will be the first widely available race-prepped 600 that any regular schmuck can go buy from a dealership. I shouldn't have to tell you that taking a street bike and getting it ready to race can be a big undertaking. From the safety wiring to the race bodywork to removing lights and street components, there's lots of stuff you have to do to get them race ready. Another thing is this means that since they're selling this bike for off-road use only, it doesn't have to comply with all the emissions regulations, meaning they can have it tuned differently right from the factory. I've been saying for a long time that 600s make no sense on the street because they make all the power at the top end with their 15,000 RPM rev limit, which takes a long time to get to when you're leaving a stoplight, and the ergonomics are really for the racetrack. So hopefully this signals the death of the 600 Supersport as a street bike. And if you needed any more proof, we've got number 5, the Aprilia RS660. I made a whole video on why the Aprilia RS660 is so important, but let me broad stroke it for you really quick. It's got a 660cc parallel twin, put down 100 horsepower with fully adjustable suspension, radial Brembos, and all the technology you could want for under $11,300. It's using a 270-degree crank, so it makes more torque than a typical 600 down low, and sure, it's a little down on power, but the 660 isn't really a purebred race bike like the R6. The Aprilia has been positioned as the sport bike for the daily rider with well-balanced ergos. It's somewhere between a sport touring and a super sport bike, kind of like the V2 that we're giving away. You can absolutely chuck this bike around the track, but the best part is you can ride it home and not feel like you're going to run off to the chiropractor to get your spine realigned afterwards. The best part of all is that it weighs 403 pounds wet and ready to ride. Yeah, it's not the crazy, 370-pound figure that Aprilia had really shot out for, but that's lighter than a Rebel 500 and making twice as much power. If you're looking to get your second bike and you're thinking about running out and grabbing an R6 before they get switched over to track only, I'd strongly recommend for you to take a good long look at the RS660. The only question is, when is Yamaha going to make an MT07R? Now, if Yamaha did make an MT07R, you know for sure I'd get one as a giveaway bike, and I'd definitely protect it with the Manimoto system. We recently shot a video which will be coming out later this week testing the Manimoto tracker on 2 separate bikes, and we were surprised with just how easy it was to use. You pop this GPS tracker into your bike, set it up in seconds on the app, and if some lowlife jacks your bike, you can track them down super quickly. The best part is if you have multiple bikes, you can move the tracker from bike to bike since it doesn't have any wires. It's packing 2 long-lasting batteries that live up to a year, which is longer than I've been waiting for that Gen 3 factory Turbo Busa. And no, I'm not bitter, I just have the best ideas ever, and I want credit for making the greatest motorcycle of all time. But seriously, motorcycle theft is no joke, and nothing's worse than walking out to find your bike gone. Just ask Spite. No fun.
Boy, that all sounds good, huh? And normally this is the part where we would say, click the link down below and use the code Yammie7 for 7% off your order, but we're going to be giving these away, and 1 winner will be chosen from YouTube and 2 will be chosen from Instagram. So if you go and check out the Yammie Noob Instagram account, you can get entered to win to increase your chances. Here's the deal. Step 1, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 2, comment below that you would like to enter to win this Manimoto. And number 3, click the link in the description below and comment on Manimoto's explainer video with something along the lines of, I want to win a Manimoto from Yammie Noob. And then boom, you're eligible. Make sure you get all that stuff done before Friday, December 11th at midnight CST. Winners will all be announced on Instagram the following Sunday. That's 12/13/2020 for those of you who don't do math. Now let's get back to this video.
Number 4 on today's list of the most important bikes of 2021 is going to go to the Rebel 1100. Here's one for you leather daddies, soon to be leather daddies, and wannabe leather daddies. The CMX 1100 Rebel. We knew it was coming earlier in the year when Honda filed some patents for a naked bike built on the Africa Twin's 1100cc parallel twin engine, but it makes a lot of sense. The Rebel 300 and 500 were great starter cruisers. They were light, they were cheap-ish, they're still Hondas after all, and they were easy to customize and build on, which is a big part of cruiser culture. The only problem is that the Rebel 500 tops out at about 45 horsepower and 32 foot-pounds of torque, which sure ain't real bike numbers. The Rebel 1100 will be making somewhere around 75 to 80 horsepower. We don't know exactly because Honda hasn't claimed any power figures yet, but that's right around Sportster killing power. Not to mention it's claiming 487 pounds curb weight and a sub $10,000 price tag, which is absolutely Sportster killing specifications. The most important part about the Rebel 1100 will be its engine note, because while the smaller Rebels look the part, they never had the right sound down to their standard firing order. But the 1100 has a 270-degree crank, which means you get all the V-twin sound and weight savings of the compact design of a parallel twin. Not only will this put the Sportster line out of its misery in my opinion, but it kind of renders the Vulcan S even more worthless than it was already, and I'm sure you'll find Spite dancing on the Vulcan's grave. Number 3 is the MT09 SP. For you Euro boys out there, I'm sure you're thinking this bike is old hat and you should probably go out and run and get a street triple instead, but this is the first year that the SP is coming to America. For some reason, the bosses over at Yamaha thought that we were either not sophisticated enough to appreciate the bike or unworthy or unwilling to pay the mere $1,000 extra to pick it up, and they only gave us the standard MT09 to play with. The MT09 is an excellent bike, make no mistake, but it handles kind of funny and the throttle and aid mode is a little too herky-jerky. The calculator looking dashboard in 2014 is a big old eyesore, but mercifully in 2021 American riders can experience what Öhlins shock can do for the bike. Spoiler alert, it's probably going to handle a little bit funny due to the overall ergonomics and geometry of the bike. The throttle's still going to be a teensy bit abrupt, but hey, there's a big old TFT display, which is a good upgrade, and you got Öhlins at the rear now. The best part about the 2021 MT09 platform is that it's being bumped up to 890 cc's and putting down an extra 4 horsepower up to about 117 and a little bit more torque, which is exactly what the MT09 needed. What's nuts is that it's only $10,999, which is substantially cheaper than the KTM Duke 890 or the Street Triple RS, which are its closest competitor in the intermediate naked class. If you're looking to upgrade to a torque-first naked bike, I suggest you wait until the MT09 SP hits showroom floors, then swoop one up. That's if you can stomach the funky-looking Dark Side of Japan headlight that it has. Number 2 is the Ducati Monster. This one's hot off the presses, but new for 2021 is a brand new, all-new Monster. The They're following in Apple's footsteps and dropping the various numbered suffixes and just doing Monster and Monster Plus, which really doesn't surprise me. They're basically the iPhones of motorcycling at this point. If you're interested, Ducati made an extremely Ducati-esque 16-minute long video going into exhaustive detail and comparing the Monster to a fine cup of espresso because, of course, they would, but the main takeaways are the 2021 Monster is lighter, faster, and fancier than ever before. They did away with the Monster's trademark trellis frame for a lighter aluminum frame using the engine as a stress member, which got a lot of Ducati-branded tighty-whities in a twist, but it helped them get the bike's dry weight down to 366 pounds, which means roughly 400 pounds wet and ready to ride. Better still, the poached motor from the Hyper Motard and slapped in there means this bike's putting down 111 horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torque out of a 937-degree V-twin. It's still got Desmo valves, so if you want this bike, you better start saving for those services now, but the good news is you've got some time since they're due after 18,000 miles, which is pretty solid. The base Monster comes in at $11,895, and the Plus, which had some extra aesthetic bits and bobs, will run you $12,195. They're also really stressing customization with this bike, featuring new aftermarket liveries and even extra painted plastic so you can get your bike looking just the way you want it to. This bike's going to be a big deal, and I can't wait to get my hands on one. If it rides anything like the Hyper Motard 950 SP, it's going to be a lot of fun. Number 1 goes to the Triumph Trident. Yeah, you knew it was going to be here. I'm a massive Triumph simp. What did you expect? They're taking my beloved 675cc inline triple, slapping it to a naked bike frame, tuning it down, reducing the displacement, and slapping all of the big four in the face with their spotted dick. This bike is Triumph's first attempt at a truly beginner-oriented motorcycle, which is a big deal in its own right, but it's also got the potential to reshape the 650 marketplace. Before the Trident, you had your parallel twins and your V-twins, and maybe the odd single here and there. There was a 4-cylinder from Yamaha, but it was a little too expensive, but there's basically no variation on the formula. Now you can go out and get yourself that juicy triple engine note and power delivery at a crazy affordable price. The Trident's packing a 660cc triple putting down 80 horsepower and 47 foot-pounds of torque, which admittedly isn't something everyone should be starting out on, especially given that you pretty much get all the torque at 3,600 RPM. That's kind of spicy in my opinion. It's got ABS, switchable traction control, and selectable rider modes all for $8,000, which is a steal. It's also only 417 pounds wet, which is a smidge heavier than the MT07. Of all the bikes coming out next year, this is the one I think has the most potential to reshape its segment, just because of how much it brings to the table. And for what it's worth, Triumph did invite me out to the Canary Islands to try out the Trident. We had a whole press launch set up, but COVID-19 and 2020 does what it does, so that all got canceled, unfortunately. We might be seeing the end of the SV650's death grip on the 650 marketplace, and the MT07 hasn't really been updated to really compete, but hey, you don't reign for 20 years without someone taking a shot at the throne. Fact: at birth, a baby panda is smaller than a mouse. Goodbye. So, my sweet little squid, this video is actually over, but lucky for you, click on this one right here. You can keep watching your sweet Papa Yam delivering you the motorcycle content you've come to know and love. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll be here waiting for you. You're gonna click on that video.